Hey everyone, it's Catherine at Resin Obsession, and I'm here tonight in the Resin Obsession office. And I'm here to answer your questions about resin jewelry making, resin crafting, resin art, especially geared towards beginners. So doesn't mean if you're not a beginner that you're not welcome, but I'm gearing it tonight more towards beginners. And hopefully if you're a beginner with resin, you can get your question answered here this evening. I have had some people email me some questions ahead of time, so I'll try and get to those as well. So while we're waiting for some more people to join in this evening, if you don't know me, my name is Catherine Swift, and I am the Chief Resinista at ResinObsession.com. If you haven't been to Resin Obsession, we blog about resin, how-tos, troubleshooting advice, our mistakes. Lord knows I've had a few of those, especially recently. And then we also sell the supplies to help you get started, whether you want to craft with resin, you want to make figurines, jewelry, resin art, whatever you want to get started on. So anyway, so while we're waiting on a few more people to join in, I thought you might want to meet the newest member of the team. He's right here with me. Come here, big guy. This is Fred. Fred joined us about a week before Christmas, and he showed up, and he is just a love. He's like this big wad of fuzz, and he couldn't be as happy if he could just sit on somebody's lap all day and you just pet him. So if you're lucky enough to get a wad of fluffy orange hair in your order, it's from Fred. You're just sweet kitty. He is just a love. So anyway, so yeah, when I'm not working resin, I'm a total crazy cat lady. So yes, we have, in case you're keeping count, we have Fred, we have Tom. Tom's shorter hair. So if you have short orange hair in your order, it's Tom. And then we have Studio Kitty. She's the original, and she's kind of like that dusty cream. So it just kind of depends on what color your cat hair is. We try not to put cat hair in your order because, as many of you have told me, you've got enough of your own cat hair in resin problems. So we'll try not to add to it. But anyway, so while I'm waiting on a few more people, great. Thank you, Erica and Rona, both of you like Fred, and I will let him know. They love you, big guy. They think you're totally cute. Totally handsome, aren't you? So anyway, so he's hanging out right here with me. So his first live broadcast. Anyway, well, I'm waiting on a few more people to join in. I know, we're still a little early. I am here this evening with you until 9 p.m. Eastern. If you can't make this live, we're going to have the recording up later, and we'll see if we can have a recording on YouTube at some point within the next 24 hours. By all means, if you don't make this live broadcast, leave your questions later, and I'll answer them as they come in. And I'm happy to answer live questions this evening. If you haven't already, please fan us on Instagram and YouTube and Pinterest and Twitter. We like to connect with you guys and offer you some advice. So wonderful. So I see a few more people joining us in. So while we're still waiting for some more people to come in, I just wanted to go ahead and start this evening and talk a little bit about the 5 biggest places where I see beginners make mistakes when it comes to resin. Okay. Now, I don't tell you this to get you worried about resin or to get you, upset or worked up. I have been here. Sometimes I'm still here. Okay. Resin can be a fussy beast. And so I like to kind of give people just some expectations, some pitfalls to look out for. And here are the 5 biggest ones that I see people make when, I'm helping them troubleshoot and they're emailing me. So the first thing is they don't read the directions, or you don't read the directions. Okay, I get it. You get the resin. Let's get started. How hard can this be? So the problem is that not all resins mix the same. Not all resins cure the same. Not all resins have the same pot time. You really have to be careful. So for example, like here's some of the polyester casting resin we sell. How many of you know how much catalyst to mix into this resin? See, that's actually a trick question because the amount of catalyst you add is dependent on how thick the casting is. So you have to start with the end in mind. So that's why it's really important to stop and read the directions. And you can't just assume that because you know all about one resin that it's the same directions and same mixing stuff for another resin. So it's not to say that your experiences with other resins aren't important. You just have to know. So this is just an example of a resin where it's really extra important to read the directions. So you're picking up a resin, really read the directions. Just learn everything you can about the resin before you use it. Okay, so that's number one. First mistake I see beginners make is you don't follow directions. Okay. Excuse me. Mistake number two that I see a lot of beginners make is that you don't measure accurately. Okay. And when I say measure accurately, this is what I like to use. Measuring cups. See? Graduated lines. Yeah, I am that fussy, and I'm always that fussy. And I'm not going to tell you to do something that I wouldn't do myself, but it really is that fussy. You can see lines. These are both the measuring cups that we sell on ResinObsession. There's lines, ounces, milliliters, drams, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I am this fussy. I use cups like this. Now, I understand there's lots of videos and other tutorials out there. And, you know, people are just like, oh, you know, capful of this, spoonful of that. And I'm sure that works sometimes. But especially when you're mixing small volumes, yeah, that little tiny bit could make the difference between whether you have cured resin or goopy mess, okay? So measure accurately. And if you're really careful and you're good about cleaning up your messes, you can clean these cups and reuse them again. We have a video on our YouTube channel that shows you how to do this, okay? So you don't have to throw it away. I'm thrifty too. I don't like throwing stuff away. Reuse it. Anyway, okay. So first pitfall, you didn't follow directions. And second pitfall is that you didn't measure accurately. Okay, great. Oh, let me go ahead and take a question. So Ellen wants to know, do I think a scale would be just as good or is it still not accurate enough? So Ellen, great question. If the manufacturer says a scale is fine, then a scale is great. Some resins will say measure by weight or by volume. So just check with the specific directions of the resin you're using, and it should tell you whether or not that's fine. More than likely, it's okay, but just I would tell you to always check with the manufacturer and just make sure that they're good with that as well. So, okay, so the third place that I see beginners make mistakes is that you didn't mix it thoroughly enough. Okay, these are the stir sticks we sell. I love these stir sticks. You're welcome, Ellen. What I love about these is you can see how they get in the corner of the cup. See how it gets in the corner? So you can really get in the cracks and crevices of a corner and get the resin and hardener mixed. Okay, so why is that important? What typically happens is you'll put your resin hardener together and you'll see some people and they'll just kind of be like, la-di-da-di-da-di-da, and you think you got it stirred. So the problem is that what's stuck to the side of the cup is not mixed very well. And this is, I failed at this in the beginning as well. So you stir and you think, oh, great, da-da-da-da-da. And what happens is then you go and you pour in a bezel, pour in a bezel, pour in a bezel. And the first couple bezels you poured will cure just fine. And then the last couple will be a sticky mess. And it's because, once again, I'm a little thrifty too, you're scraping the rest of your resin to use at the end, and it's not mixed very well. So it's going to stay sticky. So my personal rule is, when it comes to mixing resin, I mix it for 10% of the pot time. So if a resin says it's got a 30-minute pot time, I mix it for 3 minutes, okay? And while I'm doing that, I'm scraping the sides of my cup and I'm scraping off the side of my stick and I'm doing it again. And I'm really making a point to get in the corners, to get across the bottom, to get along the side. And I'll do that a minimum of 3 times while I'm mixing, okay? You gotta be totally like over the top. So I'm not gonna lie, if you can get measuring and mixing under control, that's 75% of the battle, okay? All right, so the fourth place where I see people, you know, especially beginners, you know, run into trouble on their resin projects is you didn't choose the right resin for your project. The resin is going to do what it wants to do. And so hopefully you're picking the right resin for the right project. So for example, okay, this is the ResinObsession Super Clear Resin. Great resin for molds. Doesn't dome. Ice resin. Great doming resin. Probably a little too thick for molds. And so when people are telling me what problems they're having, you know, you can't make the resin do something it doesn't want to do. It doesn't mean that, you know, we don't try and learn what we can about resin and push its limits on stuff, but get a little help and see, you know, try and pick the right resin for the right project. We do have a blog post on ResinObsession that details all of the resins we sell in a PDF file, and it does stuff like their best uses, pros, cons, minimum and maximum mixing amounts, and a bunch of stuff to help you make the best decision. And here soon, within the next little bit, I'll see if I can't post like a link like up here or something so you guys can easily find it. Okay. So, so far we've had, to review, the beginner problems that I see is that 1, you don't follow directions. 2, you're not measuring accurately enough. B, you're not mixing thoroughly enough. 4, you're not choosing the right resin for your project. And the last thing that I see where people run into problems, and this one kind of breaks my heart, is pie in the sky, and you just pick a project that's just way over your skill level. I get a lot of emails from people that they want to do this and they want to do this, and they're trying to, say, preserve their wedding bouquet, or they want to preserve, you know, just all this stuff, or they want to surprise somebody with a birthday gift. And then at the end, it's like, oh, and I've never worked with resin before. And I'm just kind of like, oh, dear. You know, I mean, it just, you know, for someone like myself who has a lot of experience, and you're like, oh, gosh, you know, you just, I immediately start thinking of everything that can go wrong. And so, so my best suggestion is to start small, learn some skills, and basically get to the point where you know that you are measuring and mixing and doing everything right with the resin that you know it's going to cure. Okay. So, I have a blog post as well on basically my roadmap to get you started as a beginner and to get you to learn some skills and take just little baby steps. So that way, when you're ready to take the big project, you're aware of everything that could go wrong. You're aware of the pitfalls. You're already anticipating what you need to do and where you need to be careful and this and that and the other. So those are the 5 big things that I see people run into, or problems people run into when they're first starting with resin. So anyway,